What's up? I'm Joe Posner sitting in for Jack on Digital Spaghetti, and we're running a mini-series on how creators are navigating the risks and opportunities of using AI. This is Thomas Percy Kim, aka The Vandalist, and I love how he's using AI in this subtle way to realize his artistic vision, not replace it.
You want to make the decision at the end of the day and limit as many decisions as possible that it makes. Because, I mean, the creative process is making those creative decisions.
Thomas is a writer and director whose films have won festivals. He's landed on HBO, even qualified for the Oscars.
I made my first feature film after fundraising about $1.6 million.
And even though he says nothing can replace the trial and error of growing as a filmmaker, he's also using AI as a script editor, as a mentor of sorts, and as a sort of production design assistant. Thomas's vision, his unique voice, stands out. And AI isn't like watering that down. He's figured out a way to keep himself and his vision stronger, not weaker with this tech. I'm sorry that you've got Temu Jack Conti here today with you. Ready? Oh my God. Did you do the stop motion?
So it's not actually stop motion, it's puppeteering.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looks like stop motion.
It does.
I did a good job, but...
Wait, so is there a fishing line somewhere?
There is. There's actually little chopsticks that are super glued to the back end. I'm puppeteering it from the back.
Yes. Oh, and then you just wrote it yourself out or something.
This puppet is actually only this big, but it looks a lot bigger because I scaled it up. And then I got all the reflections right, and then I scaled it up, so it looks actually...
It's beautiful.
They called me defective. Too stiff to sing, too quiet to dream, too cruel.
I gotta say, that is one of my favorite shots of this movie, this right here.
The hands?
Yes. Was that also puppeteered?
Yeah, I mean, I had a Laowa 9 or a 9mm, like the probe lens, the long one, so I could get that wide perspective while being super close on these tiny, tiny little hands.
I was gonna say, how big are those? Because they look really small.
They're very small. And then I comped in like my my reflections here.
Yes.
And yeah, these hands they were on like, again, chopsticks that are super glued. And so every time I'd change out the chopstick positions, I would have to break the super glue and then like cut the super glue off and then stick it somewhere else, because there's nothing that's strong enough to hold on those tiny little points. And then I would just kind of puppeteer them.
I read that this is about Frankenstein.
Yes.
This was inspired by Frankenstein?
I saw the teaser trailer to Frankenstein when it came out sometime earlier last year, and I was just so blown away. I mean, I've always loved Guillermo's works, and it's about a mad scientist who was always told that he would amount to nothing. This is the flashback. This whole puppeteering sequence is a flashback to him feeling like he's not worth anything, and then when he grows up, he tries to create something that will change the world, something that's perfect, something that has some sort of meaning to it. And so it's a story about, success and like what we do to try and achieve something great when we really have that in ourselves to begin with. All right.
Too crude to feel. I wasn't broken, just useless. But the greatest gift of a human being is that it finds hope even in the darkest of environments.
Wait, where are we? Where are you? What is happening?
So I did some production design magic. At least I'm pretty proud of it. Yeah. This is actually maybe like a 9x12 office space, like completely white walls, bare space, like fluorescent light office space, and I've converted it into something that looks totally different. I reached out to a wallpaper manufacturer and I got that concrete wallpaper, and I asked them like, hey, I'll put your link in my bio, in my description. Can you send me this $900 wallpaper?
Oh my God.
And they're like, sure, why not? How much do you want? And so I got some of that, and then on the other side of this wall are plastic table covers, like party plastic table covers with like the cobblestone Minecraft aesthetic. And then this window here, I used AI to replace the office window into something that looks more medieval. But yeah, that's just the blacked out window. So right behind there is a city line of Brooklyn.
And then you just composited it.
Exactly, composited it out. Well, I can show you the process of how I actually put this together.
I would love that. Oh, snap. Like here they are, right?
Yeah.
So you were kind of re-roll, like you had to roll this just like a few times.
Exactly.
You knew exactly what you wanted.
Yeah. So with this shot, what I did was I took the very first frame of that shot, which was the clearest shot of the window, and then I used a Nano Banana to put something in the background. First, you'll see in V1, there's a castle back there.
Yeah.
And then the second version, I swapped out that window frame for like the medieval style.
I was gonna say it does look more
frame.
like Brooklyn here.
Yeah,
for sure.
Again, I tried upscaling. It looked not great. And then I also tried turning it into a video, and you'll see from this here. I mean, it does not do a good job of creating like a lightning. And what you have to know about AI is that it can't generate images from log. And like log is the type of footage that you work with to have the most flexibility when color grading. And so what I'll do is I'll put my LUT on top of the footage, export that still, and then AI generate off of that still. And when I'm back in DaVinci to color, I'll do a reverse color transform from Rec 709 back to my original color profile, which was Vlog.
Right.
And then I'll color the whole thing to add that film emulation and tie everything together with the right look and the grain. And
as a recovering After Effects person, I feel like that the thing that I would do in every single piece of mine too is also just like add grain. Like always just add grain. Everything will glue together. Just add the grain. Part of this entire series is to talk with creators about how they're navigating this AI question. Do I want to do this short activity? I'm calling this the gift/curse matrix. And I'm so pumped about this that we're also making like a little app to let the community tell us what their morals and what their framework looks like.
Oh, wow.
So I want to go through some of the ones where we're going to give people. When I see people talking about AI online, it pretty much always goes like this. AI bad. Mm-hmm. Hollywood cooked. Right? Yes. And like there's just like no one's really talking to each other, and also it's not capturing any of the nuance. The x-axis is what I'm calling the gift axis. This is helping you collaborate. This is helping you save time, right? Up here is like, I'm good with this morally. Down here is I'm not sure I like this. I've got some of these use cases where we can write out ones that come up. What would you call it?
VFX asset creation, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Something along those lines.
Where should we put it?
I mean, I would say maybe I don't think it's a morally gray thing.
No. I mean, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, and it's very useful. I mean, would it be crazy to put that up there?
No.
Yeah. Go there.
All
there
right,
you go.
Cool.
They said I wouldn't be worth anything. And so I tried creating something that would.
This shot rules. What is happening?
This is different artless stock footage that are composited together. You'll see a couple layers here. There's like the outer ring, and then there's the backdrop with the little embryo looking thingy. This shot is wider, and then so I used AI to build around it to make it look like we're looking inside the microscope. I also created a chromatic aberration effect to kind of tie everything together. You see how like everything looks like it's kind of warping in. You kind of get that effect with certain vintage lenses, and so I wanted to give it that like magnifying glass. And then this outside piece with the microscope looking area, I forget if this was AI or if this was another stock footage that I just cut out.
But I feel like that really speaks to how you're thinking about this too, because it's like you're expressing a full vision with these layers. Like it doesn't really matter if that layer was like captured by a camera or not. Like it's doing a job that it would do the same.
Sure.
However.
Yeah. When I'm scripting, I'll actually find these pieces of footage first, knowing that I have this and knowing it looks like this, so that I'm not hoping to find something later on. If I know it's going to look like this, then I can shoot something or work around it to make sure I have all the pieces before actually going to production.
Okay, you mentioned that you use AI in the script writing, but I feel like people might hear that and think be like, hey, like write me a script about Frankenstein. That's like probably not what you did.
No, it's not. I mean, every word on the script is written by me. So I'll first use it to brainstorm, right? So like, okay, I know I want to tell a story about X, Y, and Z. In this case, it's a story about what it means to create something great, right? What does it mean to become someone who creates something cool? And so then I'll start there. And this was the version of ChatGPT a year ago, and I think a lot has changed and improved since then. But I would just, throw things on the wall with it, like the log lines. Essentially, I would create log lines off of, okay, I'm really inspired by the Frankenstein story. Give me, tell me about all the Frankenstein movies that's been made so far, and like, you know, from Poor Things to the originals. Like, tell me about this. So I don't have to like spend hours and hours watching all this content, and then tell me about the new one that Guillermo's working on, and then tell me about like all the lore behind it, and then I can inject my own ideas. And then once I have a general log line of like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, which is really just what is the beginning, what is the inciting incident, what changes and escalates, and then how is there like a twist at the end, and how does it resolve? And then once I have that beat boarded out, then I'll go in and start writing. If I ever get stuck on any point, then I'll feed what I have into ChatGPT or, you know, other AI, help me break through that creative block. Being like, oh, what are some ideas that could happen next? Or what are some dialogue pieces that could fit in here? I will say, you know, this was early days of AI and ChatGPT, and I do feel like a lot has changed then. My workflow has also changed a lot since then. And so if I were to remake this again, I would even be more hands off with it, to be honest, and let my first instincts take me through as far as possible before even like trying to feed it in. You know, you do learn a lot from taking the script all the way to the final screen and seeing how your vision in your head translates to the screen, because those two films are very different, and understanding that creative process. You can try and fix it through AI and like having it give you feedback on your script, but it's not the same as like going through the entire process, shooting the arrow, seeing where it landed, and then, you know, self-evaluating, trying again. There is something to say about like, you know, using AI to make something better. Like, for example, when you're writing a script, right? You're like, oh, you feed it into AI and it tells you what's wrong with it, right? And a lot of those, not all of it, but a lot of those things are right. And it can only get you as far as you can take, as you can recognize how good it is, right? Because you're like you have to make it better and then keep, you know, molding it. But there is something to say where it's like you feed your thing into AI and then it could tell you, oh, like based off of every other commercial success, you probably want to beef up the story here, add more tension here, put more drama here, beef up these characters here.
I want to make another thing for this, because I think that's really actually super important point you're making, that people often talk about this technology as if it's doing it for you, but what if it's pushing you? What if, so it's like, what do you call that? Like AI feedback?
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of learning on the spot. You can learn by taking a lot of time and energy to make the thing from the script to the final film, being self-critical enough to analyze what you did and see what you did wrong, and then try it again and then learn from that repetition process. Or you could use AI to kind of speed run that a little bit.
Where are you putting that?
Yeah, I feel like it's right
Put
here.
it over here?
I would say so.
It is so helpful to help you look, like, to just crap something out onto the page as a writer and be like, can you just tell me all the ways that this sucks?
Yes.
And I'm not like having to ask a person who I respect, and I honestly am embarrassed to show my mess. Instead, it's like, maybe I should clean up my mess a little bit first and like get the and it's like not just about a multicam timeline. It's about like my script itself could get better if someone just told me like, I know you're better than this.
Yeah. And like the thing is, the more you feed it with these new like AI models, with like, you know, Claude, and they're able to replicate your voice, not perfectly, but they are able to if you feed it enough data about your work and your style and your tone and what you like and your creative instincts, it's able to kind of adjust to that, is what I've noticed. And now that blurs the line even further. It's like, okay, like they're talking in your voice and it's not going to be perfect, but it's like it gets you quite close to what you wanted it to be, you know, because ultimately what AI is doing is it's making decisions for you, right? It's cutting out the middleman, where it's like, oh, if I'm making this VFX thing, it's okay, then I just type this in and then it assumes that I want this thing. That's what it does. It's like it cuts out the middle section of trying things and then adjusting and fixing, and gets you like 90% of the way there. And whether it's VFX asset creation or writing.
As long as you are in the driver's seat, right, where you're saying, well, I know my voice. And yeah, like you were 90% right, and I'm going to push it the rest of the 10%. Is anybody hurt by that? Really is the question.
That's actually a big question. It's like, as a filmmaker, can AI emulate your voice? You know, maybe like you have a chip in your head when you're born, right? And so then if it knows everything about you in this inevitable future, then couldn't it make your art the way you would want it without you even making it?
No. Here's why.
Yeah.
I think that the struggle that you go through making this defines what it is. And so it could make your art, right? but then it's like that process would be making a different kind of thing.
I watch this and I see all the imperfections, and like if AI can recreate that thing that is perfect, like the most perfect version of this, right? The best thing it could have ever been, then is that something that people would rather? I mean, I think that more people would want to watch the perfect thing, but then there's also something to say about how people knowing that it's AI created also devalues it to a certain degree.
Like what to you seems like imperfection, to me, like that's the price of admission. Like I want to see the imperfections. I want to feel where you bled, basically, right? That like that's like the moral valence of some of the stuff people get very angry about. You're actually taking from other people by using this technology. If you're saying, I think that I can take from myself, that's just a different thing. I am just hyper aware of all the things that inspired me and how that they got into my piece, regardless of how they got there. Like I am a huge Terry Gilliam fan, or like I am, right? Like all of these things are just in my work no matter what. And so I can't take that element of what people criticize about AI out of my work anyways. But I can just be a custodian of like me. And I feel like that's what you're saying too. As long as you are just the person feeding it and the person saying, hey, like what you gave me back, that wasn't cool. Like I don't use words like that. I wish that you didn't call me that name. Whatever it would be.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my god. Yeah, my AI has gotten a little feisty these days.
It has?
Yeah, I call it Jarvis, but it's like Jarvis is getting a little feisty.
Jarvis knows you too well. It's like you got to put Jarvis back.
'Cause I prompted, especially in the directions, to be honest with me, to be brutally honest with me, and to like have to be very opinionated, to speak as if you were an expert in this field and all that stuff. And so
it's genuinely useful to get that harsh feedback. And it's almost more useful like feeling like I'm ready for everybody else now that I've spent some, like that it's a way to make yourself spend the time to think about like, well, did I really need this? Like to push yourself as opposed to just be like, oh, it's like I clicked a button and it was done.
And you know what's interesting on that point? 'Cause, it's kind of difficult to take notes from another person or another artist who is subjective and has their own opinions that they might try and impose on you. You know, you talk about reading the notes behind the notes. It's because you have to filter out that person, whoever gave you the notes. You have to filter out their own artistry, their own subjective opinions, and then get the note behind the note, which is to fix X, Y, and Z. But AI, like, it doesn't have that, and so it feels a little easier to take those notes because it's not super personal. It's more objective, and like you're not. Your feelings are less hurt, is what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're talking about. And it's also why, like, honestly, like, for me, if I were making Mind Matrix, I would put the AI feedback right on the line between the sort of top right and the bottom right. I genuinely can't imagine making a good piece without having gotten feedback from incredible editors through my life. And I actually really want to capture that feedback forever. When I'm asking for feedback, I will often give them directions that is like essentially like this person who has given me amazing feedback and I am genuinely afraid of. And I don't want to waste their time. Like they don't have time to look at this. But like I can get the kind of feedback if I can just say like, this is what this person is like, this is what this person is like. And then I feel like myself replacing them. And I get scared and kind of upset because it's like, wait, but their view did matter, right? That like, I've gotten like a lot of those notes where it's like they're suggesting a solution that would make the problem worse, but I can see the problem behind it. I absolutely know what you're talking about. But then this is where, for me at least, where I feel like it's like a lucky thing that I've gotten to have those relationships and that I don't want them to go away entirely. Do you ever feel that? Like, or have you had those relationships where you're like, I just need this person?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'll never get the chance to be mentored by like Martin Scorsese or Chris, all these people. And not to say that it replaces them, but you can get a little bit of a taste of what that feels like to access someone like that or how they're thinking and summarize their entire philosophies that are already on the internet probably into a personalized coach.
That is so fascinating too, because then that's also like, now you're getting to the point where it's like, well, maybe Martin Scorsese should be like selling that. You know what I mean? Like that sounds pretty good to me. I would totally give Martin Scorsese a buck to get the fake Martin Scorsese advice because I'm never getting the real.
Right.
I tried to. I
I love how you show up in these.
ratios. more memory, lower empathy, unwavering.
I just want to show some love for that camera move right there. Like, that was beautiful. How did you do this?
Every action line on the script is a shot. So it's really combined with a shot list. And then I'll also put where the music's going to come in and how the sound effects are going to come in and know when I need extra help. So for example, like this shot.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know that you can see Thomas's full script on the Digital Spaghetti Patreon page right now for free. Okay, back to the video.
That was a friend of mine who came in and then just tilt the tripod down. I mean, like, this just, that's literally just tilted the tripod.
So it's not even like a special head. It's just like,
no, it's
boom.
Literally just off of 2 legs on the tripod, just lowering it.
It's so well done, though. It's like the parallax there just sells this like beautiful thing. That's all just in camera, and all you have to do is just do it kind of the same speed.
Yeah. I mean, try and get it to kind of ramp up and down. So like, start slower and then go faster, and then on the come up, faster and then slower.
I love it. I just feel like that's such a cool like example of like, sometimes you need the highest tech thing. Sometimes it's like actually low tech is going to be every time.
The perfect creature. I ask myself.
That is.
So that last shot.
Yeah, that is deeply unsettling, by the way.
That was my lunch. So that was Chipotle chicken, I believe.
Nice.
It was like, and that little plate down there is
yeah, maybe that's al pastor.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even remember, but it's some sort of meat. It was the rest of it went in my tummy.
So you didn't actually bleed for this piece.
Yeah. That would be crazy. That would be wild.
Joking.
I mean, I maybe I would one day.
I mean, you do still have both your hands.
Yes,
spoiler alert.
I do. No, this one is actually fake.
Yeah.
I gave it all of my best parts.
Here it comes. I honestly still just like tense up. Like, don't do it. That sound. Where did you get the? What is the sound?
Some of the sound design I'll find off of like freesound.org or .com, or some off of Artlist, some off of other random sites. Some I have like an archival collection. Others I'll record. So like all the fingers that come up later, it's all like metal forks and spoons that I just like.
Oh, really?
Ruffled around. Yeah, and then this one was. Oh man, I broke something. I think it was like celery.
Let's listen to it again because I just am like, the fact that you don't even fully block it in the sound. The sound sells it so well,
My dominant hand.
I love going ham with the sound design, and layering different sounds. The thing about sound design is you want to fill the equalizer, right? So you want things in the middle and on the low end, on the higher end to make it feel full. And so I love getting in there and then, doing the whole sound mix. I'm not a professional at all. I don't know how to do it professionally, but I do it the way I do it. With headphones that I have, and I just try and make it sound as good as possible.
That's literally how all the
oh really? Okay. Yeah, you would know. You're a musician.
I mean, I just mean that like the George Martin's book is called "All You Need Is Ears," right? Like that is like the thing that you're doing is like what you should be doing. You're just like you're just listening to it really closely, and I feel like I heard a chain in there. Like it's so cool. Where did you get this hand though?
That was a friend's hand.
Oh, so wait, is this composited?
Yes. My friend is off screen. His hand is like this over the little thing, and then I'm just lowering it down. Yeah.
And so wait, what is the
bones, the blood.
Hand.
I bought some fake blood, and then I painted it on his wrist. So.
So you perfectly could merge it, like.
Right. So everything below the little metal rod is real, and then above that, the bone sticking out is all AI, and then Compton.
Yes.
They were right. My fate had been decided.
What is going on in the eye there? Like, it is genuinely one of the scarier shots of this film, even though you cut your own hand off. This one's scarier to me because I'm like, I don't really know what I'm looking at.
There's a shot before this one where I'm using like tweezers to open my eye.
Yes.
And that's me. Like I would hit record and then use my right hand because I have to.
Oh my God.
And then
Seriously?
open my own eye like this. It was a little terrifying.
It's so like you're revealing this cloudy, like, are you wearing a contact or something?
No, I cannot wear contacts. I don't like anything near my eyes.
Yeah.
I'll show you. I mean, I used AI to create these assets, and then I comp those in. So
Whoa. Yeah,
so
because it's like,
yeah.
you could just blur it or like, oh, but it's so much nicer, and it like knows all the lighting positions.
Exactly. That's the thing about AI using to create assets is that it knows the lighting, and that's huge.
Oh, it's so good.
So my prompt was literally replace my people with classy, milky cataracts like in a horror film.
Oh my God. Incredible though, because it's like, yeah, there's just like something uncanny about the fact that you can just do that now.
Yeah. And then, obviously I'll just cut that out and then paste that on and then make sure it lines up, mask it with my blinking. Yeah, and that's about it.
They were right. My fate had been decided.
I just want to stop on this to also ask, like, you brought up this was inspired by Guillermo del Toro. My understanding of like what he is out in public saying is essentially fuck AI is like the thing that I remember him saying. As someone that's genuinely inspired by his work, but is not being given the kind of budgets that he has been given. How do you think about that?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, and I mean, that's just natural. If I was his age and I was where he was, I think I would say the same thing. The world is constantly changing.
Yeah,
it's like you either catch up or you don't, is how I see it.
Yeah.
And like we just need to evolve with it. Humanity has always evolved. The hard just changes, right? The hard was learning how to get the money to make your movie, to do but for this new generation, the hard might be, okay, how do I not let this thing control me? Yeah. And how do I still find my own voice within it? It's just a different hard.
I just hope that that's what people take from your use too, right? That it's allowing you to express the thing that you had in mind and that you physically may not have been able to do.
Right.
Right? That like, and that is really important that you were able to do it. Is it going to like take down Hollywood? Like, that's not the point. Like, you're just telling a story.
Yeah.
I am not my past. I am not my failed fate. I am who I choose to become. And who I become is the person I have always wanted to be.
I feel like this speaks to your theory of like your channel, right? Like, can you just tell me about that? I mean, I've read a slight bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, the channel's called The Vandalist. I launched it earlier last year, and I spent last year just kind of experimenting on it. People talk about the game of YouTube, like the thumbnail and the hooks and all that stuff. Obviously, it doesn't do the views that like Mr. Beast or these people make, but it was just a playground for me, just to spend a year experimenting and trying things. And so this is a video, I'm very proud of. And the whole ethos behind the channel is how do we cultivate permissionless creativity? And so I'm actually, a writer-director. I want to become and am a narrative writer-director. I made my first feature film after fundraising about $1.6 million. And that's coming out later this year. We're also in production on 2 other features this summer. And then I have like my own little new media company / studio where we are championing independent filmmaking and teaching other filmmakers on how to fundraise or how to finance their films, how to make their films, and then how to distribute them, and then how to like deal with the emotional journey of being an artist. Especially
that's like the forever
age.
war right there. I'm not sure that's ever going to get easier.
No, I don't know if it's not, but that's my goal is to make the thing and then also help others make the thing.
The thing that I genuinely love about this and what you're saying about your mission is that the most important thing is that even though now you can do every step of this or almost every step of this by yourself, that it's very important to not actually believe that lie.
Yeah, you could do the entire thing yourself, But what's the joy in that? You know, when I was making my stop motion pieces or making these YouTube videos, I have full control over the entire process. Now, there is something very liberating and something very, very fun about that. It's like I get to control every pixel of every frame and make it exactly how I want to, especially in animation. And then, you know, with live action filmmaking, it's like everyone comes together and everyone puts their own spices into this stone pot, this stone soup, right? And then ultimately the thing that you make is completely different from what you originally imagined, the vision in your head. My goal as a director is just to nurture and guide that so that people can put in their best work, put in their best spices to make the best soup that they can make.
It is about that balance, right? That you use these technologies in the wrong way, you erase all of that.
Yeah.
You use them in the right way, you could get more out of those relationships and those collaborations.
Absolutely.
I want to give you some more to react to. So like you said VFX asset creation. What would you think about this? Creating animated characters. What would you consider it?
What would you consider?
I would say creating an animated character without a person behind it, I would put down here. Creating an animated character that is like a way to anonymize my family member who is 7 years old and we want to collaborate, but I also want to respect her privacy. Like, well, then I feel like I'm putting that here, right? I feel like it really depends on what's behind the animated character.
Can I show that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, no,
So-
I was telling Thomas about this very real example that is my daughter, Frankie, who may become Captain YY, a fearless explorer of the world of information. So I feel like it's like, yeah, it kind of could go either way. Maybe I'll just put it right in the center. Okay, wait, what about...
Ooh,
I feel like-
generating, that for me, that's down here.
You think that's slop?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll tell you why. Because
Yes.
the language of filmmaking is in the shots. Every shot is a word and every sentence is a scene. That's how it works. And you learn the language of filmmaking. And I don't think AI has caught up to that point where it understands that language yet. It understands English, right? Like how to speak English,
Yeah.
but cinema is not English. It's like learning a completely foreign
Totally.
language. That's where it crosses the line for me. You know, it's like this is the sacred part of filmmaking.
This is why I want to. This is why I think it's interesting to do this framework thing, because once you get away from bad and good, it's like, because then I would yes and that and be like, if we were modifying storyboards where I sketch out and I am terrible at drawing,
Sure.
right? But then I'm like, I need people to understand this. Then it might be different,
Yeah,
right?
sure,
Because then
sure.
I'm like, okay, then I'm like letting people into my head, but it's still my language or something like that. Okay, let's keep going.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Research help. I mean, I feel like you put that here.
Yeah. I
What
mean,
about-
like,
yeah.
yeah. Whenever I sit down to write, there's a research period where I mean,
Right.
there's this great David Lynch quote where he says like writing is like fishing in his subconscious, and he's just fishing these different ideas, and
Yes.
just sitting there and waiting for the right fish. And I think the thing I would add to that is you actually have to stock that pond with the right fish, and that's what research is. You put different ideas. If you're writing about, I don't know, like a criminal, then you have to research about what that criminal's
Yes.
like, what they do, what that process is like, what it feels like to go to jail. You know, like you have to understand this and then put those elements into your brain, into your subconscious, so that your neurons can later connect those two ideas or different ideas together to help you write. So, you know,
Yeah,
you can,
it can only help if you get better fish.
yes, exactly.
Creating an AI clone. What do you think?
Of what?
Of yourself.
Of myself.
What if in that film, right, instead of you filmed yourself twice, one of them was not you? It was a AI generated version of you. Would you do it?
That feels like it's somewhere around here, just because.
Yeah, right.
It feels a little.
You're like you
morally
could
ambiguous.
imagine maybe a little bit of it coming into the utility zone of like reacting to commenters that are nice or something, and you could react to every single commenter. Like I feel like that's
Yeah.
the example where
see.
it starts making me think like maybe that's good, but maybe that's like yeah, it's really tough one.
It kind of goes back to the coaching idea where it's like, okay, do we want the AI version of someone?
But I feel like then it's like I don't want to clone because
Right.
like I'm like I need a different perspective.
Yeah.
I need someone that is not like thinking like me to tell me that I'm an idiot.
Right.
Training AI on your own art.
For yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fine. If it's just for yourself, somewhere around here, maybe.
Maybe it could
Yeah,
be
like around
dangerous.
here. Yeah,
could
it
be dangerous.
Could be, yeah.
Could be dangerous. Could be fine.
But if it's for yourself and you're aware enough,
Yeah.
yeah.
Brainstorm video titles.
Now, I can't speak to this because I'm still trying to figure out the game of YouTube titles and thumbnail
Yeah, so who
packaging.
knows?
And I
Right,
think,
if you had some special sauce, you might be like, F that.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, there are a lot of AI video title generation tools,
Right.
which are kind of like ChatGPT wrappers. I don't know how their backend works, but
I mean, it's probably just a system prompt that's like,
Right.
here's what does well.
right. So maybe that does go up somewhere here or here because, you know, like I do think I mean, it makes sense, right? You think about it like, okay, these titles worked. What keywords triggers some sort of emotion or people to click, right?
I would
don't know.
describe that as a utility because if you're
Yeah.
using it that way, it's because you don't have an internalized view of what you want yet. And so you're learning. Maybe we'll put it here.
Sure.
Note taking and transcription.
I mean, that's harmless, right?
You think that's... I think it's harmless. I'm more thinking left would be like, that is replacing something I hate doing. And right would be like, that is actively making my work a lot better. Over here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, I also don't really like note taking. Generative fill. I feel like this could be used any sort of way.
Yeah, there are so many different use cases with that.
Could be all. What's one that you feel like you've used, or have you used it?
I mean, it's kind of what I did for the VFX stuff, right? It's kind of
Right.
like
So it's sort of like we can just put that as like
Sure,
very
yeah, yeah.
similar because
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
kind of like castle generative fill.
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Are there any others that you feel like you struggled over and you want to see on the sport?
Maybe something like administrative help because
Yeah.
that's what I use AI a lot for is just like generating invoices or like things I
Yes.
don't want to do. It's just going to take up bandwidth, you know?
But and so you could say it's kind of a gift because you're being given your time, or it's just a utility because it's like in a perfect world, no one would have to do invoices.
Right.
Maybe we'll put it over here, or what do you want?
Yeah. Right on here.
Okay,
somewhere
cool.
on here. Yeah.
Are there any others? I feel like that you feel like the kids need to know, or the olds need to know. Honestly, like because I feel like we could change Guillermo del Toro's like mind right now.
Oh yeah, he's definitely watching.
What AI tool should Guillermo del Toro reconsider? The VFX asset creation is a good example of like. It is exactly the kind of thing where he would just never do it because he has like 40 million people working for him.
I feel like someone on his team though is using it and he doesn't know.
Oh my God, that is so
Like he's
true.
hiring a VFX artist, you know? I mean,
Right.
they probably
Right.
use something.
I feel like this conversation about AI often it's a mirror of the auto-tune conversation in like the 2010s where like at one point like Jay-Z literally made a song about how auto-tune is whack. He was talking about a specific type of use of it that was kind of whack. But in a larger sense, it's like all that did was just make people like hide. It didn't go away. The thing that I take away from the conversation online about AI is like what you're telling me is that it is totally okay to use this technology as long as I hide it. Because to show it too much would be like unbearably cringe to the audience and like they will be triggered about like their own very real job insecurity, which like, by the way, like was definitely true before and will remain true and is horrible, but also happening to everyone all the time.
It's a very valid concern. I mean, we're in such the early infant stages of this technology and it's changing so quickly that I mean, a year ago, I wouldn't have believed that there would be a world where we could use AI to create a full-on feature. But then I saw this guy, I think his name is like Curse Journey or something. He's on Instagram. And like he makes the craziest Asian monsters that are animated. And I'm like, wow. And a friend of mine said, oh, wow, they would watch a feature version of this. I'm like, well, you're a general audience. You don't know anything about filmmaking. You would watch something like this. And like 100, like to be honest, I would have watched it because it's just so cool.
Yeah.
The thing I'm trying to figure out and help other filmmakers understand is storytelling, right? How do we tell a story and evoke the heart? Because everyone can make eye candy.
So the craziest thing to me about this film and how you've used AI in it is that it's getting at something that I think is at the basis of like essentially all sci-fi, which is the fear that we might be replacing ourselves with something worse. Looking forward 20, 30 years, do you have any sense of like, do you have any guess of like what your creative process might look like?
I do see a world where we use AI to actually make a feature or make something big and it's actually good because, and this is the thing here, because we have control over it. You know, the first company that is able to use AI and let filmmakers actually control all the variables, just like in, you know, like in a mocap volumetric studio where you can have a virtual camera and move around in it. Well, I mean, why do that if you can do that digitally with your computer? But there's something tactical here. You can find the shots, you can work with the actors, you can still maintain that creative process of being physically with the actors. And so the first AI company that can allow filmmakers to have full control over the entire process, I think will win. And I think that will be the tool that we use to actually make something great. And really what it is just letting us get from the ideas in our head to the screen easier, faster, and cheaper.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I feel like we did the thing. Did we do the thing?
They'll tell us.
Hey guys, if you want to go even deeper into how Thomas made this video, he actually recorded a full breakdown where he walked through the VFX, sound design, editing, workflow, post-production, everything. And he let us put it for free on the Digital Spaghetti Patreon page. That theoretical company that Thomas was talking about, the first one to allow creators to control all the variables, well, we have an episode with Asteria coming out next week, and they're trying to do just that. So subscribe to Digital Spaghetti and join our Patreon to keep up with this AI miniseries. The Patreon page has so much to offer. There's a community of over 8,000 creators, behind the scenes, live drops of videos with the guests. Like for this video, Thomas was literally in the chat while the video premiered, answering questions from everybody. And that AI chart we discussed, we actually built a whole website so you can fill it out for yourself too. Just go to giftorcurse.ai. You can compare your answers to mine, Thomas's, the community average. Enjoy.